I want this to bless someone in the audience. I don't have a rock bottom story for you. I honestly feel like I hit rock bottom. It was like dragging across the surface, bouncing and up and down a little bit at times, but there wasn't like some humiliating event or some doctor diagnosis or something like that. And I want to say that to you to impact you to not, my goodness, don't look for that thing. Don't wait for that thing. You don't need that. You can make the change by virtue of just knowing that you need to make the change and making the decision to make a change. And of course, this could mean weight loss. It could mean any other addiction. It could mean starting your own business. It doesn't have to be a negative. It could be a positive. So there wasn't like some moment where I woke up and looked at myself in the mirror and said, enough, never again, some Goggins sort of story like that or whatever. I'm too cerebral. I don't operate like that. I just started losing some weight. I hired somebody to help me and had some positive movement, and then I gained some back. At the end of this previous year of 2023, I decided that I wanted to stay a longer period of time in Thailand, and I'd met my boxing coach, and I said, let's work together. And I said, I want to have a real impactful 3 months with you. And we did. We had a great relationship. We had a ton of fun. I ended up healing another emotional part of myself that needed healed. Surprise, surprise, when you've been repressed and had any number of issues with humanity and society for 20 or 25 years, yeah, the anxiety might have been the core center of it, but there were other things in my character that changed and needed to improve and become better. There was some very specific things that he and I worked through, and I just stepped it up to a whole nother level. I really believe that if you're dealing with a big thing, no disrespect to my brothers out there that are 25 pounds overweight and need to get it under control, and 25 and 300 aren't the same numbers, man. I'm sorry. What you're dealing with emotionally and what has gotten you to 25 pounds overweight is not the same as what's gotten people, to that 150, 300 pounds or more overweight. There's going to be some stuff you just got to work through and be a man. Like, step up. Like, don't be a coward. Like, I dealt with some really uncomfortable stuff. I actually just ended up just kind of like journaling and writing. I think this would be the case for anyone. I think there's a catharsis that has to take place before you finally get to the other side emotionally of something like this. I did that back in December, 6 months ago. And in that time now, I've lost almost 100 pounds in that 6 months. But it came on the heels of me being willing to get really uncomfortable and just be like, share some things with him, some things that were impacting me, certain ways that I had come to view the world, come to view myself. By getting that thing out on paper and then exposing that with him, you'll notice that like the sunlight as the ultimate purifier just starts healing. It starts cleansing that stuff when you just kind of get it out. The danger is when it's just here. The danger is keeping it right there. And when you get that stuff out, when I get that thing out on a piece of paper, or this works for any kind of relationship, if you get it out from here and you get it out to here where you can actually look at it, now it's separated from you a little bit, and you can actually kind of look at that thing and measure it up, get its bearings and everything. Then you start getting some actual power. Then you start getting some power and you're like, okay, I see you. I see how you've affected me, and I think I'm going to confront you. This thing here that's challenging me. Maybe it's an insecurity, or maybe it's a fear. Anything. You see that thing, and you just say, "Okay, you've held me down for this long. I'm just gonna dive into the pain. I'm just gonna dive into the discomfort." Along the lines of all this other discomfort, I also had an extreme phobia of flying. And so I went years without flying and just couldn't understand how like my friends could just fly and it like not impact them. I'm like, how does that not, that it just seemed to me like an insurmountable thought that it wouldn't be just like horrifying that you might just at any moment fall out of the sky and crash and die. And like, I hear myself saying that now and it sounds so absurd, but that was, a concern I had. I remember the first time I flew in a very, very long time. This is now several years ago, but I remember Tony Robbins' words. The words that Tony says over and over is, if you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. And I remember being on that first flight, like sitting there, oh, if you can't, you must. If you can't, you. Like I was just like chanting myself, if you can't, you must. If you can't, you must. As the plane starts like rolling down the runway, and now, I mean, I fly, like 200,000 miles a year probably or something, and I enjoy it. And every time now I enjoy it more and more because I get to reflect on how it used to be something that bothered me. And that's the thing with like the emotional stuff is then you go through it, and number one is you'll always find out it is not nearly as powerful as you think it is. In fact, you'll end up looking back on it and be like, wow, I gave years to some absurdity. Here's something else you might find. You'll be look back and be like, wow, I gave years to something that wasn't even true. Yeah, live with that one. Then all you do is just laugh about it and be like, yep, I did. Haha, here we are. This is life. Let's go.